welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV. Pushed it off forever, but here in Eulmore, Kholusia has another unlock, and I think this should be a what was it? Custom Deliveries quest. Renya, have you got a moment? I've been wanting to have a word. Is Tuya an expert weaver? One of my many, many talents. Is there anything you can't do? Ivana says you've been dealing with a boutique of splendors and all. Not just anybody can do that. Anyhow, I asked because I was hoping to get your help with something. Bit of a project of mine as it goes. Since I decided to stay here in Eulmore, I've been trying to find ways for people like me to contribute to the future of the city. Thing is, I've never learned to trade and nothing like that, so I was struggling to come up with ideas. So lots of thinking, I put together a pretty decent plan, but I could do with a professional opinion, maybe a bit of help, if you're up for it? What do you say? Alright. It's for a good cause, I promise. I've asked a couple of old maids to meet me outside the beehive, so I'll see you there. First things first, let me introduce you. There's Anfric, who serves as drinks shaken, not stirred. Yes, as the saying goes here in the beehive, fancy a shake. Reactions vary, as I'm sure you can imagine. It's a pleasure to meet you. And this is Bostazia. I also work in the beehive, though my talents tend more toward whining and dining. Winding and grinding, whatever our patrons desire. Anyway, a friend of Kholusia is a friend of ours. We grew up together in Gate Town, closest family. All three of us are orphans, so we had to stick together to survive. We shared everything we had, right down to our last crust of, well, whatever was available. That's why we promised each other that we'd find a way into Eulmore, no matter what it took. But Anfric and I were chosen while Kholusia was left behind. Can't tell you how glad we were to be reunited with him after so long apart. We've been through a lot. Him more than most, but we are all here now. I never thought I'd see the day. Something not right? Hate to see it, but the way things are going, there might not be a reason for us to stay in Eulmore. So much has changed since the fall of Warfree, and business at the beehive has really dried up. While I'm all for this city becoming a fairer place to live, we need to face facts. At this rate, places like the beehive will struggle to stay afloat. If we were to be let go, the chance of us finding similar work here would be slim at best. You're not thinking about leaving Eulmore, are you? To be honest, we don't have much choice. Whoa, I said I sorted something out, didn't I? I've got a plan to bring visitors into Eulmore, and I want you two to be part of it. That's also why I brought Serenia here. Her skills as a weaver are going to solve all of our problems, I swear. Well, well, how wonderful it is to see my employees engaged in such a lively conversation. Ah, Moen. The Queen Bee. Sorry, sir, I get behind the bar. No. As you are. In fact, Mistress Moen and I were discussing ways in which the beehive's fortunes might be improved. It was then that we overheard you, and my ears pricked up when you mentioned the possibility of attracting new customers to Eulmore. Given the current state of affairs, this would be most welcome. Would you share your ideas with me, young man? I ain't a businessman or nothing, so you have to excuse me if I'm off a mark here, but seems to me that under Warfrey, you once forgot what it meant to actually work for a living, and most of the old industries disappeared altogether. Still, there are a few things left over from those days that we can put to good use. Such as the entertainment. Eulmorans ain't the only ones who like to have a good old knees up, you know? If we open up the city of final pleasures to visitors, we'll be raking in the gill. And what better way to do that than telling everyone about the beehive? Because word of mouth will only get us so far. But if you put me in charge of promoting your establishment, I'll do whatever it takes to bring people from every corner of Northrend. I say, your enthusiasm is positively infectious, and for a self-confessed amateur, I find you remarkably persuasive. I, for one, think it's a marvelous idea. Wouldn't you agree? Yes, this is certainly in line with Master Child's aim to foster trade with outsiders. And as far as I can see, the beehive stands only to gain from this most worthy of endeavors. I'm therefore placing you in charge of advertising the beehive. Since I have a vested interest in the success of this undertaking, the Boutique of Splendors will gladly grant rewards for bringing much-needed custom to our doorstep. But first, you will need to look the part, and I have a perfect ensemble in mind. In the meantime, I would have the two of you resume your duties. When the time comes, I should like you to provide assistance in any way that you can. Our knowledge and expertise are at Kholusia's disposal, so. I gather that you are here at the lad's request, yes? I can only guess as to what it may entail, but I dare say all shall become clear soon enough. I bid you good evening. I'm surprised you recognized me in this getup. I have to tell you, I ain't used to wearing anything like this. Still, if I'm to advertise a place like the Beehive, I suppose I've got to look the part. Not that it really matters for our first task, though. While I was getting measured for my outfit, I was thinking of how we could convince everyone to come and spend their hard-earned coin in the Beehive. Rather than shouting from the rooftops, it'd be a lot easier if we gave out flyers everywhere. I ain't just talking about a handful, though. I need hundreds, and that means I need paper, ink, and something to print them with. That last one was trickiest, but it'll speed things up like no one's business. Do you think you could get those for me? There was one other thing. Right, payment. Cause I ain't expecting you to do it for free. I'll be getting scripts and whatnot from Moen, so I'll send you a few your way. That sounds alright to you? Thanks, I owe you one. Or I will once everything's been sorted out. All you have to do is bring me the stuff for the flyers, and I'll take it from there. Custom deliveries unlocked. Kholusia. And what do we need? As usual. Flyer printing set. Raven coal and Luxon ink. Alright, then let me get stuff like that. Cashier. Anything? It ain't got to be perfect. Whatever you have will probably be fine. Yeah, if we cut... I know how this works. Don't need to explain it in full. The Luxon inkhorn fished at the source, which is Lakeland. Most players use plain out black ink, but I want ours to stand out. Bring out these little buggers will give us a nice purple, which you have noticed is a popular color in Eulmore. Bloody hells, I'm amazed. You really taken it to another level with this. First successful delivery, and he's eventually full. However, you can only turn in items with a job you that can actually get them. So, yeah. I made a printing set. So he brought the stuff for making the flyers. Let's have a look then. I'm amazed. So yeah, you can buy this from a merchant here in town, the base materials, and then you just craft them. And now we're miner. You can mine raven coal outside in Kholusia. Can only turn in one. We grind this down, mix it with water, we have ink for flyers. Clever, isn't it? Bloody hells, I'm amazed. You're really taking it to another level with this. Oh, we've got everything we need for flyers. All that's left is to print them. Zia and Anfric offered to help, so I gave them a load of flyer to put up around the villages near Eulmore. Even convinced the Queen Bee to let us attach free drink vouchers to them. No one in their right mind would turn down an offer like that, so we had a steady stream of new customers. Giving away a bit of booze is one thing, getting them to stay is another. Most of them left after the 1-3. Well, judging by the way they were necking their drinks and gawping at the dancers, they were definitely having a good time. Wonder what the problem was. From what I gather, those two over there are from right. Maybe we should ask them what they think of a beehive. You're not here to kick us out, are you? Why, nothing could be further from my mind. I was hoping that you might share your impressions of our establishment. Oh, you asked what you think of a place. Anyway, it gives away booze like this for nothing is alright in my book. And I love the interior. What's the word? Gaudy? No. Vibrant. Yes, that's it. Well then, if you're happy, then so are we. And yet, we're not seeing a lot of people coming back after their first visit. Could it be the food and drink aren't to their liking? Perish with thought. This complimentary beverage is one of the finest things I've ever tasted. I shall savor it while it lasts. We'd like to have another, maybe try some of the food, but we simply can't afford to. For the price of a single steak, we could feed ourselves for a week. I have a word with the manager to see if there ain't anything we can do about it. Thank you for your time. So the place is simply too expensive. Backer of a beehive. Kashi is pleased with your efforts. He now considers you a backer. Yet there's still much to be done if the beehive is to continue contributing to Eulmore's economy. To that end, Kashi has a new favor to ask of you. I should have realized this sooner, but the beehive only caters to the rich, and most people in Northwood can't afford what we're charging. Trouble is, it's the ingredients that push the prices up. As for the booze, there got to be cheaper alternatives. I reckon we should expand the menu to include more affordable options. That way there'll be something for everyone. That's easier said than done. Quality doesn't come cheap, you know? Well, you're not wrong there, Zia. Have you forgotten about Eulmore's foremost barkeeper? There's a lot more to my job than mixing drinks morning, noon and night. I can put together a whole selection that won't cost an arm and a leg. I like the sound of that. The food, on the other hand, will take a lot more effort. I learned a few recipes during our days in Gate Town that use only basic ingredients. I should be able to adapt those into something a bit more befitting of a beehive. I have to ask you to bring me the supplies, though. My duties prevent me from leaving the beehive for too long, so I'll give you a list of all the things I need. Well, sorted. Don't you worry. I can start with the villagers in Kholusia, and if I don't find what we need, I'll try casting the net a bit wider. Tell you what, why don't you leave all the running around and haggling to me, while you take care of the stuff that needs an expert's touch? How's that sound? Alright, let's get cracking. Updated. And why do I get tutorials when I have done 5 other custom deliveries? Armorang seasoning, Kholusian cuisine set, and wild oil perch. Alright. New week, and I'm back with the items. I might already turned a few in, so. White oil perch is one. Fishwives done it still tight. Talk about these like they're worth their weight in gold. Might you, they're a bugger to catch by all accounts, so that might actually be the case. What's this? Blimey, I wasn't expecting this sort of quality. Nicely done. No idea how I spoke him. Armorang seasonings, of course, from Armorang. Okay. We sprinkle a bit of spice and that on top. It makes all the difference. But yes, I'm amazed. You've really taken it to another level with this. And of course a cuisine set. Fairly cheap, but if you don't go the extra mile with your utensils, it'll end up the same as what was gets served down in Gate Town. And he is amazed. Now that Anthrix got everything he asked for, we'll have a new and more importantly affordable menu in no time. Well, it didn't take long for the new dishes to cause a storm among the customers. Anthrix wasn't kidding about his skills in the kitchen. We're seeing more customers from Ride and Stilltide. They're not only coming for the free drink. Our new food offerings are proving popular in their own right. It's a step in the right direction, and we might even have gained a few regulars. But we need more than that to turn things around. Don't worry, Zia. I'm already months ahead of you. I made my way over to Eulmore, and where I handed out flyers and drink vouchers. Tomura must have crossed a dangerous territory to get there. I have to say, I'm a little impressed. It was worth a journey, as we're seeing a number of dwarven customers since then. Certainly most of them have only made the one visit. They're not shy when it comes to ordering food and drink, so the problem must lie elsewhere. In that case, why don't we try asking those two over there? Good evening to you, gentlemen. Sorry to interrupt, but would you mind if we ask you a few questions? Lally-ho? Lally-ho? Now then, you said you had some questions. You gave us 3 drinks, and the least we can do to hear you out, so ask away. Well, I've noticed that the visitors from Tomura rarely come here more than once. Why do you think that could be? It's no fault of a booze or a grab, I can tell you that much. Very tasty indeed, and a lot more fairly priced than you might expect in Eulmore. I'm glad the food and drink are to your liking, so, what is the problem? Hate to say it, but this place is a bit on the dull side. The dancing is all well and good, but we just can't enjoy our grog without an old-fashioned sing-song. We've got songs for ale, songs for meat, songs for wine. Something for every occasion. Well, every occasion that involves drinking, which is, all of them. So as soon as we try any of that in here, everyone looks at us like we're just pissed all over the bar. At least if we had some proper singing instead of this plinky-plinky rubbish, we could swig away to our heart's content. I didn't know dwarves were so musically inclined. I think that's all for now, gents. You've been very helpful. He now considers you a promoter, and what's the next quest? There's still much work to be done if a beehive is to continue contributing to Eulmore's economy. To that end, Kaishi has a new favor to ask. If we want the dwarves to become regulars here, we need to make them feel at home, without making the other customers feel like they aren't. I think it's time we offered a wider range of music. I have just the thing in mind for those boisterous little buggers. You're not going to sing, are you? No offense, dear, but I doubt that your brand of high-pitched caterwauling will go down too well. Oi, watch it, you cheeky sod. I know full well when Matt Helen's life. Thank you very much. What I'm saying is that we find a singer to perform something simple enough for the dwarves to nod their heads to. With the Queen Bee's permission, of course. We also need a proper costume. There are plenty for the dancers, but the vocalists should have something to make them stand out from the rest of us. That sounds like a plan, but since you're basically tone deaf, you'd better leave finding a singer to me. I don't know what to do about the costume though, unless, we put Serenia in charge of it? Can we count on you? Great, let's all get to work then. Has been updated. To view the new list, okay. Another week and another set of items to turn in to cashier. Still haven't found a singer. Feyshine clams for decorations, I believe it was. Oh, pearls. These would actually cost a fortune. Lucky for us, you know how to find them. Bloody hell, I'm amazed. You've really taken it to another level with this. Yeah, it's okay. For now. Pretty jewels, huh? Incredible to think about all the treasures out there waiting to be found. I suppose only an expert like you would know where to look, huh? And he's still amazed. And some sort of crafting. For the other stuff. Ah yes, so we should be able to make a pretty costume out of this lot. And still amazed. I'd say we got enough bits and pieces to put together a pretty decent costume. And I'm happy to say I found a singer. I hope it's a good one. Choosing a vocalist would have been a lot easier if a few more people could actually sing. Most of the ones who auditioned were terrible. I think you'll be chuffed as I was with my final choice, though. And of course, she'll look the part too, thanks to all the things you brought for the costume. I forgot to mention Zia wanted to see us about something. I'm sure everything's fine. Well, reasonably sure. Hopefully it's good news, but there's only one way to find out. Pillar of a beehive. A new quest continuing the story of a beehive of efforts to attract new clientele is now available from Boster Zia. Upon its completion, the custom deliveries will be updated. Ah, you're just in time. So, is our new singer's costume ready? It certainly is. We haven't had an awful lot of time to practice, but he's shown all the signs of becoming the beehive's next star. In fact, the queen bee himself has already given her a seal of approval. Still, it was Kholusia who discovered her. Perhaps you finally found your calling in life? Are you pulling my leg? No, I ain't cut out to manage musicians or nothing. All I did was a bit of asking about to find her, and when her singing voice did the rest. Besides, if it went for Serenia bringing the materials, she wouldn't have that lovely dress. Yes, I've never seen anything so pretty in all my life. I feel like a princess, but I wouldn't even be here in the first place if you hadn't given me this chance. I just hope that I can repay you for everything you've done for me. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Oh, I think you've made quite the impression on her. I don't know what you mean. I'm sure she'd do very well, though. Because we can't stop here. We need to find more customers. I'm not sure where to try next. Since you've already covered most of Kholusia, maybe we should try elsewhere? Right, there's only so many people on this island that would be interested in a place like the beehive. A couple of ideas spring to mind, but I need a bit more time to mull them over. If you come and find me later on, I should have worked something out. Alright, I'd better pull my thinking cap on. Alphonse said that where he's from, these kinds of songs draw large crowds, but some of the fans can be very enthusiastic. If we could hold concerts, we'd be able to attract a whole new type of customer. Because she's not the only one around here with big ideas, you know? And there she is. I've managed to turn my ideas into something resembling a plan, but I'm still working on the finer details. Like I was saying, most of the people in Kholusia who would consider coming to the beehive have been here by now, and a fair few of them even came back. But that means that if we want more customers, we have to bring them in from elsewhere, which is to say, across the sea. Thing is, even if they like the sound of a place, they're hardly gonna jump on a boat just to come and watch a few dancers and sip a bit of wine. We need a faster, more convenient way for them to get to Eulmore. Ah, you look like you worked it out. So, what's the answer to our problems? Airships. As the saying goes, clever people think of the same things. Or at least, I'm pretty sure that's it. Anyway, is that a brilliant idea or what? There's one problem though. A long time ago, there were flights from Eulmore to all sorts of places, but that ended with a flood. Sin Eaters made it impossible to fly anywhere until Warfree came along with this. I went and asked Master Chai whether we'd be able to set up an airship route between here and the Crystarium. Poor bloke got a lot on his plate, but he was kind enough to say he'd consider it. As a matter of fact, I'm about to go and see him again now. Do you reckon you could join me? Seeing as you're familiar with the Crystarium and all? Great, let's get going. The place is the army headquarters and we're supposed to make ourselves known to Golden. What can I do for you? We're here to see Master Chai. About the airships, right? We've been looking into the feasibility of such a proposal. And I believe we now have all information we need. He'll be here in a moment to inform you of his decision. Ah, cashier, my good fellow. Terribly sorry to have kept you waiting. Hi. Why, if it isn't Serenia, I'd heard you'd be helping at the beehive. I can think of worse place to spend one's time. Though I wasn't aware that you'd be joining us this evening. Master Chai, I heard you'd made up your mind about the airships? Don't worry, lad, I haven't forgotten. I must say, your timing could not have been more fortunate, as we were currently involved in talks with the Crystarium as to how we may better our relations. I put forward your proposal to establish airship routes between our two cities, and they agreed to it there and then. Blimey, I can't believe it! Now, before you get carried away, there are one or two small problems that must be addressed first. Golden, if you'd be so kind as to explain. Yes, sir. The Eulmore army has in its possession a number of airships all in perfect working order. But being designed for military use, they are austere things that offer very little in the way of comfort. Considerable work will be required to convert them for a proposed purpose. While we have a rough idea as to how the interior might be refitted, I'm afraid we haven't the expertise to carry out the works ourselves. We will require the assistance of trained artisans. Indeed. Unfortunately, given all the outstanding work in the city, we are experiencing a shortage of artisans at the moment. I'm not sure when we can assign people to the airships. If it's artisans you need, I can take care of that. But where do you expect to find them? I was thinking of trying down at Venmont yards, whether they might be shipwrights and not airship rights. They should be able to deal with a lot of the bigger tasks. I expect we'll be needing a few extra interior walls and doors to make proper cabins, and from what I hear, they'll be glad for the work. Of course, why didn't I think of that? And with Serenia in charge of a more delicate work, those airships will be ready before you know it. I can do that. And what sort of assistance would you be providing? I'm something of an artisan myself. Surely a jest. Not only are a peerless warrior able to best even the likes of General Ranjit, you're telling me you have other talents? Bally hells. If you're even a fraction as good at that as mighting evildoers, say, would you be interested in joining Daedalus Stoneworks by any chance? We could use more skilled folk such as you. Master Chai, I don't mean to be rude, but Serenia already has a job helping me at the beehive. But she does, forgive me. I had forgot myself. I wouldn't dream of poaching Serenia from you. That being the case, perhaps the two of you could cooperate with Colden until the work has been completed? Here's an outline of our improvements we wish to carry out. If you can provide the listed parts and materials, we soldiers can deal with the heavy lifting. Well, it seems you have the matter well in hand, so I will return to my own duties. I look forward to seeing the fruits of your labor, my young entrepreneur. We won't let you down, sir. I must say I'm rather surprised to hear about Serenia's hidden talents. We all need a hobby, I suppose. On that note, I bid you farewell. Alright, Serenia, it seems we've got our work cut out for us. Let's head back to the beehive and take a closer look at what needs doing. Master Chai caught me a little off guard offering you a job, but knowing what you're capable of, I hardly blame him. Of course, I couldn't let him have you yet. We need your talents for the stuff in Colden's plans. Metal plates, canvas, grease. It's a list as long as your arm. And not just with standard ones neither. It's all the fancy, hard-to-find sorts. And cushions. Bugger me, you'd think they'd have enough of those around Eulmore as it is. Why can't they just borrow some? Well, I said we'd take care of it, and so we should get started. I'll have a word with the lads at Venmont Yard, while I leave you to get stuck into the rest. It's a bit of a tall order, I know, but you're up to it, right? Of course you are. Let's give Master Chai and the people of Eulmore something to smile about. Don't hardly know anything about airships, but you've been on a few, right? Hopefully that will make your job a bit easier. Fittings, airship fitting components. And R&D. So food, basically. Alright. Alright, another week and more stuff to do. Airship components, was it right? Now, fittings. Well, I managed to get a lot of basic materials from Venmont Yards. You're the only one I know who can put together the trickier things on Colden's lists. I won't pretend I know much about airships, but I do know quality when I see it. This and that looks pretty damn good to me. Yeah, okay. full-on crafter's grip on yellow ones. And Fisher. Colton came up with the idea to use these as decorations of the airship. Mind you, with Kholusia being surrounded by the sea, it's a pretty good choice if you ask me. Good quality. Funny what you can find lying around, isn't it? Because once it's all been cleaned up and whatnot, none of the passengers will know where you got it. Good quality. That ought to do it. I get this lot off to the soldiers and shipwrights working on the fleet. I'll bet they'll be scuffed to bits when they see what you've come up with. We finally managed to get Colton everything he asked for. Since our part in the bargain is taken care of, all we have to do now is wait and see how things turn out. I almost forgot to mention that Masachai wanted to see us. We've been asked to meet him at the Zilem lift. I reckon we've got some news coming our way, so let's take Anfric and Zia along to hear it. Thank you for coming on such short notice. What an honor it is to be joined not only by the Queen Bee himself, but the enchantress Mistress Mowen. We were enjoying one of our promenades when we chanced upon Master Chai, who graciously invited us to accompany him. I'm lucky I ran into you, as I neglected to invite you from the outset. After all, with the fortunes of your respective businesses being so closely tied to those of Eulmore, this affects you more than most. Cashier, your efforts have finally borne fruit. In other words, we can now commence airship flights to and from the Crystarium. Our newly repurposed fleet stands at the ready. As a matter of fact, preparations are now underway for our very first voyage. We did it! Now we'll be absolutely swarming with visitors, especially once we put out the next part of the plan into action. You mean there's more? Of course there is! You're not gonna wait for them to arrive to tell them about the beehive? I'm looking into advertising in the Crystarium. Once they hear about the high-class entertainment, affordable food and drink we have on offer, they'll be racing to get on those airships. Hold on, I've got another idea. If we give them a little souvenir on the way out, they're bound to come back for more. And then when they get back to the Crystarium, they can show their friends and tell them about all the fun they had at the beehive. They bring in even more customers. My word, that's brilliant. My sentiments exactly. Hiring on the spot was something of a gamble, but my faith has been repaid manyfold. Let's not count our mouth just yet. There's still a lot to do before any guests arrive. And then, we dancers will be working on some brand new routines. We show them such a good time they never want to leave. I never imagined that entertainment would be the key to turning around our fortunes, but here we are. I see great things ahead of you, Cashier. Though it's often said, the proof is in the pudding, I have every confidence you will see this through to its natural and successful conclusion. Cashier now considers you a savior of a beehive. Cashier could not be happier with her efforts. Savior of a beehive? Through your efforts, the beehive has become one of the primary reasons to visit Eulmore. It seems, however, that Cashier has a different sort of favor to ask of you. Blimey, did you hear what Master Chai was saying? I gotta tell you, it feels good having a man like him singing your praises. By the sound of it, you're no stranger to that yourself. He's got every reason to be optimistic though. Everything's coming together nicely, and it's all thanks to you. Because we're not quite there yet, and we can't afford to get complacent. But if a plan with the souvenirs pays off, everyone in the Crystalium will be wanting to hop on an airship and sample the delights of a beehive. To be honest, I ain't got a clue what to make a decent souvenir. If you bring me whatever you think will work, we'll take it from there. Oh, and before you go charging off, there's one other thing I wanted to ask. Queen Bee's always going on about clothes make the man, or something. The ones they gave me to wear when I joined makes me presentable enough, but I want to look less like hired help and more like I belong here. Don't worry, there's no need to donate half your wardrobe to me or anything. I heard about those glamour prism thingies. They work just as well as shelling out on a new outfit. Mind you, I spent most of my life dressed in bits of old sacks, so I wouldn't know where to start. Could you maybe pick something out for me? Hate to be a pain, but you obviously got a much better dress sense than me. Future requests will be selected at random from all those you've seen thus far, with a list refreshed once a week. You may review the items currently in demand at any time by speaking with cashier and making delivery. Souvenirs. Kholusia and King Cross will earn you particularly handsome rewards whenever they make an appearance. The effort is worth it. And yeah. A new quest is available from Unfrick in the Beehive. Completion of this quest will allow airship travel between Eulmore and the Crystalium. Now comes the you're finished for the week. We must be doing something right because more and more people are arriving from the Crystalium every day. To tell the truth, Unfrick and the others are having trouble keeping up with all the orders, so maybe we should slow down for a bit. I'll make sure everything continues at a steady pace, so you may as well put your feet up. Either that or I'll get back to charging about, saving the world or whatever it is you do the rest of the time. Yeah, this was you haven't done enough for the week quest dialogue. A ship on his shoulder. I'm glad you saved me the trouble of tracking you down. There's a bit of news I've been asked to share with you. One of the refitted airships is about to embark on the very first commercial flight to the Crystalium, and you've been invited to join them as a passenger of honor. Considering everything you contributed to the cause, it's only fitting. When you're ready to board, speak with Lerbet, that gaudily dressed twit over by the Xilem lift. Be warned though, he's usually has an expression so sour he could curdle milk at 20 paces. You're aboard the airship, are you? You're one of those sweat-stained soldiers, or a shipbuilder with nothing better to do than spend all day hammering nails so fervently as to give the impression they have personally wronged you? Which is it? Why it was decided that you all be given lifetime passes for whatever shoddy work was performed is beyond me. Not that it's any concern of mine, of course. Riffraff is riffraff. I am duty-bound to inform you that all passengers are to be guided from here to the uppermost level of Eulmore, where the airship landing is situated. Only those granted permission to board may pass beyond this point. Alas, the powers that be have neglected to provide me with a proper reception area, and I'm relegated to standing upright for bells on end like some wretched footman. If you're quite done borrowing me, your airship awaits, madame. So where do we come out? Amaro Tamers? But we can't travel back from here, right? Or can we just... Oh, okay. It was Kholusia, I guess, and his custom delivery. And until next time, when we play more Final Fantasy XIV, I guess. I am Ace, and don't get lost.